Hi, we are the Good Ship Illustration and we run online courses to help illustrators and image makers navigate a creative career. We are Tania,
Katie and Helen. We have about 70 years experience between us, each of us working in a different area of illustration.
Welcome to Message in a Bottle, our new podcast answering your questions. You can send your messages to goodshipillo@gmail.com and title it Message in a Bottle so we know what it's about. Helen's very excited for this episode because we're talking about Substack for illustrators. If you haven't heard of it, some people might be listening to this and they might not know what Substack is. So should we start with that?
Yeah, okay. Right, I have to warn you though, I'm so excited about this. And I have got kind of a fast northern voice and I might speed up, so you might want to play the podcast a bit slowed down. But anyway, yeah, what is Substack? Well, what is it?
It's a self-publishing platform?
Self-publishing?
No, it's not self-publishing.
I mean, it was started for writers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's huge in America. I'm laughing at myself because when you say huge in America, I'm like imagining like
a rock band.
America!
The way you told me who, I'm the least techie of the group. So you explained it to me as an alternative to MailChimp that you could put pictures in and photos.
Yes.
And it would send out every week and much easier to use than MailChimp.
I used to have my newsletter on MailChimp for years. Then I moved it to Squarespace where my website was on there. And so I'd write a newsletter, send it out, but I'd also have to copy and paste the newsletter into my blog so that people could read it on my website. So that was an extra little job to do. And then if people loved the newsletter and wanted to talk to me, they would press reply, and then I'd get a load of separate emails in my email box of replies, which were very lovely, but took ages to answer back, or I'd have to ignore them. Whereas with Substack, you write your newsletter, off it goes. It's automatically saved as a blog post within the website, and people can type their questions underneath. They can all chat with each other, so I don't necessarily need to join in and answer. So yeah, it's just much quicker and easier. And because Substack has its own audience within the app and everybody's chatting with each other, you build your newsletter faster as well. So you gain new followers. It's just brilliant.
It's magic.
It's like Instagram, but without the annoying algorithm.
Yes, that is something really nice, a chronological thing. Like somebody just posted something, there it is on the pile, ready to read.
Yeah, exactly.
And then even if you signed up, you can. Well, I hadn't fully signed up to the pay side of it, so I'm looking at the external parts of the Substack newsletters from you and from Sarah Tasker and from Carson Ellis, and they're so interesting.
Oh, I love Carson
They're always
Ellis.
really good subjects,
Yeah.
and they're always things that you forward to a friend. Somehow it contains everything that you think your best mate might need, and so it's just simple to pass it on.
They're quite intimate, aren't they? The chats feel quite intimate. And you get a real insight into somebody's life on the best ones.
Yeah, and it just feels like it's supercharged community building because it's so shareable. And also, we could almost not do this podcast. Basically, Helen's so excited about Substack. She doesn't really need to explain anything about it. Just go on the fact that she's levitating with excitement.
The problem is I've got deadlines, but I'm just obsessed with Substack. It's all I can think about.
What have you been writing about?
About our house and how I sit on the bed and try and see people who lived in our house in the past. About Pi's minstrel microwave. So I've been convinced to buy a microwave because you can cook minstrels, the sweets, chocolates in a microwave.
Love this. What do you microwave for a few seconds?
You put your minstrel in. I don't know whether you put one at a time. Anyway, put minstrel in. Takes a couple of seconds, take it out, looks like an ordinary minstrel, put it in your mouth, melted chocolate.
Proceed with caution, only do really short time.
You burn your mouth with bubbling chocolate. But you're writing about illustration, aren't you? You're putting your pencil pals.
Yeah.
That was the other question. Why is it good for illustrators?
Yeah, so mostly writing about illustration. Why is it good for illustrators? I don't know.
It's good to have a newsletter, isn't it? To communicate with people. Don't bother.
Well, you do. I don't.
Yeah, well, I'm right. All of my newsletters have always been about illustration in the past. But what I've enjoyed about Substack is I feel like I don't know why I've never thought of this before. I got a message from our friend Marluce de Vries. Yeah. She said, "Why don't you write about your house? I really want to hear about your house." And so I thought, Yeah, all right then. I'll do one about our house. It was the most popular one I ever did. And so now I feel as if you don't even need to stay on brand. You don't need to 100% just be an illustrator. You can chat about anything.
That's good, because that's why I got stuck. I put all my blogs for illustrators from my website onto Substack, and that was nice. And then I've just been like, I can't write anything, because I feel like I'm hemmed into that box. I've got to write useful things, but I think I'm going to experiment.
Yeah.
With it.
And can you put images and film it?
Yeah. So on all of your posts, you can put images in. The thing that's been confusing me a little bit, but I think I've got my head around it now, is because I like chatting to other illustrators, I like to have discussions where people can post their pictures underneath. And so I got very confused about which posts allow a picture in the reply. So I've done a few posts where I've immediately had to edit it, going, oh, sorry, I got all confused and you can't post a picture here. But yes, some of that you can set up a chat and you can set up a notes and chats allow pictures in the replies. So that's brilliant. That's good for illustrators.
Do you have to have a paywall?
Well, you don't have to, but Substack are really encouraging everybody to do that. And Katie and I, we watched a talk between Sarah Tasker and Farah Stowe, didn't we, about...
Is Farah Stowe like the queen of Substack?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what her job is, but she used to be the editor of Cosmopolitan.
This is on Sarah Tasker's podcast.
Yes.
It was like a live call, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's still available. I'm thinking we could put this in the notes, couldn't we? So people can
there is a
listen
podcast between Sarah and Farah, and she also did a live call that we watched.
Is that on #authentic?
Yeah.
Which doesn't have the hashtag symbol in it. It's all the words. Look for Sarah Tasker's, but that's spelled Sarah Tasker.
Yeah.
If you check her podcast, you'll find it there.
Her podcast is brilliant. Where was I going with this? Oh yes, so Farah was saying, so there's a paywall, so you can people can join for free, or they can pledge a small amount every month, and then they can read other content that you keep behind a paywall. And I was listening to the chat between Sarah and Farah said that Substack are really trying to encourage everybody just to start their newsletter with the paywall immediately, because if people are following you, they might be completely happy to give you a $5 every month to support you just because they like you. So what's the point in not having your paywall up? Yeah. So when I first started mine, I didn't have a paywall. What I didn't know is that Substack, unless you change all the settings behind the scenes, they let people pledge their support. So it's basically, as soon as you open your paywall, people who have pledged will immediately be a paid subscriber. Because I didn't know that, everybody had pledged in dollars. And so as soon as I opened my paywall in pounds, I lost all my pledged people. So if you're not gonna open your paywall first, make sure you get your settings right behind the scenes, because you might have people pledging and then you're gonna lose that money. But I think you might. I wish I hadn't hesitated. I should have just opened it with a paywall immediately. Why not?
It's scary though.
Yeah,
but it's a good thing.
Yeah, but it's like Patreon, isn't it? People have got used to Patreon. We're a kind of subscription culture now.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's at some point where this is going to be a problem in some form. There's me being the negative Gen X again. Yeah, what are the problems with this Substack? Let me poke around and see what I can find. I mean, I did see the other day on a banking app that it would go through all your subscriptions and help you delete the ones you didn't use anymore, which was a sign of how many subscriptions, but usually streaming services, perhaps not small indie alternative art things. But what's the average people pay for a Substack?
It seems to be on average sort of $5 or $6 or pounds per month.
Okay.
But there are apparently people who provide financial education or advice charge a lot more, because then people within finance can put that down as a business expense. So it depends what the content of your newsletter is. If you can put it down as a business expense, I think you could charge a bit more.
What happens if you don't have something to say every week?
I've just got loads and loads of drafts. So in my drafts folder, every time I have an idea, no matter how stupid, I write this idea down. And there's one at the moment that says hot itchy nipples. Please publish that. I want to read it.
If anyone missed that? Helen just said hot itchy nipples.
And that's because I had this problem for a while where I had hot itchy nipples. Couldn't understand why. And then I think maybe it's a menopause thing.
Yeah.
And so I started wearing much cooler bras. So that's in my drafts folder.
Yeah, you're going to send that to your community.
It's important to say all drafts.
So
Talk about illustration.
Some of them stay in drafts and some of them make it.
Make it to the top. Well, your recent one was a must open. Horse gutter.
Yeah, I was like, what?
That was horse gutter. In case anyone... What was horse gutter about?
That was because I found the deeds for our house. And we live on a street with a really, really boring conventional street name, the same as everybody's street. But in our deeds, it says that our house used to be called Horse Gutter. And that's either because there was a tannery at the end of the street, so they were probably gutting cows and horses. Or maybe it's because the main thoroughfare from Scotland to England is at the top of our street. And so maybe they swept all the horse shit down our street and we were the horse gutter. I have no idea.
It's just, look how free you can be with your content.
Yeah. Oh, I love it so much. That's what I really love about it. Like, talk about finding your creative voice.
Yes.
I think about the progress I made from years ago. Sarah Tasker took my phone off me, started me an Instagram account, and me being a Generation X was like, why would I have an Instagram account?
This sounds rubbish.
Sarah has often taken my phone off me and started me on something without my permission, which is brilliant. I'm so glad she does.
Genius.
And so there I would post a picture and nervously write one or two things, like a few words, and think, I don't know what to write, I'll just post a picture. But it seemed so easy because it was just visual. And then as the years have gone by, I've actually enjoyed the written bit underneath. And then now with Substack, it's like, oh my God, I can just do all chat and forget the pictures. And now that's lovely. I really like that.
What a transition. You're transitioning into your full writer self.
Yeah. It completely shows, it's you being yourself, and that's what people are there for. They're not there because you're talking about specific things. Yeah. I mean, some of them are, but then they'll stay because they're like, they like the way you're writing and you're putting images together. And
well, it's what makes you as a creative, isn't it? It's where your stories come from, your characters come from, is an interest in all these things. And going back to notions of style or whatever again, or uniqueness, that's what makes you, because you're giving free rein to all your bizarre and eccentric
And it goes back
interests.
to confidence, doesn't it? It goes back to confidence again, because expressing all those embarrassing things about yourself, I feel like that was really difficult when I was younger. And now I feel like they're the best things about yourself. Those are the things that are really interesting, aren't they?
But more and more, I think people are coming to that conclusion, like you said earlier, talking about Sarah Tasker's Substack, where she was talking about the bits that you are most afraid of revealing.
That's what people most want from you.
That's what they totally want. And the moment you reveal that, everyone is attracted by that vulnerability and they feel they can be part of this world rather than that glossy, perfectly contoured face or beautiful kitchen or all the things that you see on Instagram that are otherworldly and you can't be part of. I think, vulnerability is I finally got on board with vulnerability. Gen X says, okay, selfie without any makeup. You've really broken through then. But I think Substack's going to be a really interesting place to watch.
Wondering about frequency. Like, do you have like a set? Do you have any rules for yourself of how often you have to post?
Listening to Farah Storr, the guru of Substack, talking about Substack, she said you must have a certain frequency, like once a week, or some people do 3 times a week. Some of the most successful people do 3 times a week, but they're making their entire living.
That's like the crazy
Substack.
Instagram rules.
Yeah.
So
well,
like
I haven't
5 weekly posts and a reel and this and that. Just, nobody's doing that.
So I do it when inspiration hits, and it's hitting a lot at the moment, but I guess there's a point where
you're at Substack honeymoon.
I am. So I've not made any promises. It's easier not to make any promises, isn't it?
By Substack.
Featured.
And that is a big stamp of approval.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so your numbers went right up.
Shot right up. So I imagine now people will realise what they get and they'll opt out again.
Nipples, horse cutter, and your old house.
Exactly.
We've really sold this for you.
It's brilliant.
The anti-marketing podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But so if you mess up? Like, it doesn't matter. Does it in some way? If you don't post that week, do your numbers go down, or do you prioritise anything?
Well, I think Farah's talking about if people know what day of the week they're going to get your newsletter, they're going to be looking forward to it. So it gives that sort of stability and that, I can't remember what the word is. That they can rely on you always posting at a certain time.
What about for unreliable people with
Well, I'm
problems?
unreliable. But I've just decided that'll be okay. I don't know whether it will. We'll see, won't we?
Will you let us know? If you can just sort of be a bit flaky sometimes to see if no one minds, then
I don't think people will mind. I haven't made any promises.
Oh, that's important.
That's the best way.
So everything's a bonus.
Yeah.
And you've got paid subscribers as well. Do you feel more pressure because people are paying?
Not at all. No, it doesn't feel any different. There was a really interesting fact I heard Farah say. Somebody asked, what day of the week should you release your newsletter? And she said, if your thing is very businessy, Monday morning. If your thing is very, very holidays, time off, casual life stuff, Sunday. And then the range goes between Monday and Sunday. You release it depending how far between business and relax you are.
So where does a free fall in between?
So I'm releasing all of my house stuff on Sundays, but my illustration stuff on Wednesdays because I don't think it's serious enough for a Monday. Maybe it's okay for Wednesday.
It's balanced.
But everyone gets overwhelmed on Monday morning, and definitely nothing should be posted after 3:00 on a Friday. No. There's always those last minute people go, I'll just catch you before you get off the weekend. No, you will not. I'll delete that right now.
So just to wrap up Substack chat, we're going to quick fire. Helen, are you ready?
I'm ready. Go on.
Okay, so why bother? Why start one?
Well, I always sent a newsletter anyway, and so moving it to Substack means you've got the option of paywall, so you can make some money off it. Why would you not be paid for what you were doing anyway? That seems like a good idea, especially if you're just starting out as an illustrator. This is a really good way to have a second income.
Yeah. Diversification.
Exactly.
All good.
Yep.
Is it difficult? Is the interface difficult?
Oh, it's dead easy. The only thing is they've got threads, chats, notes.
You just ignore them.
I've had to do a few Substack Google searches, but no, it's not difficult. It's not difficult. It's easy.
Okay.
Easy.
Is it easier than MailChimp? Which I found difficult. You found easy then.
Yeah, I think it's easier than MailChimp. MailChimp wasn't really hard, but yeah, it's easier, I think. Come on, quick fire questions. Come on.
If somebody wants to go and get started, what's the easiest way to just start?
I don't know.
I love your honesty. How did you start? How did you know what to do?
I just went in, opened an account in the same way you would do on eBay, but make sure you've got a nice logo or something so you look like a professional. Because loads of people have just got, the little two, if you don't put your photo in, you've got two little circles.
Oh, yeah. Don't want
like nobody's going to really sign up for you if you haven't even bothered to put your photo or your little bit of...
Yeah.
Well, we're illustrators, so it's easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Put those in.
And they have to be, what do you say, PNGs? All your images PNGs?
I think they are. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and someone else mentioned as well, Claire Venus of Creatively Conscious. She was saying that Substack really respond to everything their users, all the user feedback. So if they don't like all those threads or all those different sections, or they're not functional for certain people, then they will listen to them and they change them within a week.
I've heard that. I haven't been into those chats. They have an open questions thing, don't they? Once every week.
Go in there and tell them off.
I want to go in and tell them that we can have replies as pictures to any kind of post. That's what I'm going to ask them.
Yeah.
I think you should. All the illustrators will be really happy because it was really set up for writers and journalists, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To self-publish like Medium. I better not go too far into these things because I really don't know what you're talking about.
But basically, go in, fiddle about, have a try.
Yeah.
See how you get on.
Yeah. You might as well.
And set up your paywall.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, that's it. Substack done.
Substack done. If you start one, tell us so we can have a look at it.
Yes.
Leave a comment or something.
You could put your Substack on our Good Ship Illustrators Facebook page if you're on that.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Instagram comment. You'll find us somewhere and tell us.
Yeah.
Because we're nosy. Thank you for listening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.